Yo, what's going on, guys? This is your boy Haba, Nick, or NiHaba, and I'm bringing you a brand new video here today. And before we get into that, just want to say a big shout out to you guys. Ever since I hit 200 subscribers, it's kind of been going a lot quicker. I'm already at 219, so major shout out to you guys. It hasn't even been a week, I don't think, since we hit 200. So thank you so much for that, and to all the new subs, welcome aboard. We're on our way to 8 trillion bajillion subscribers, so yeah, we like to shoot high around here. Yeah, with that said, I don't really got anything else to say other than today I'm also recording a video for the Underground Stars YouTube channel. Link will be down in the description to the channel over there. It's me and my team. We all record tutorials, and I think there's a lot of really great information being passed through that channel that you guys would like to see. So without further ado, we're just gonna hop straight into this video. So you guys know I don't come into these videos with a plan, but what I do have here is big surprise LA Custom C7 grand piano, and I swapped my BPM to 120, and I'm just gonna start making a melody and see what happens. So I'm gonna go over to scale highlighting, and we're gonna go into the F minor scale, and I'm just gonna start building some chords. So I've got these chords here. Now I'm just gonna start like inverting stuff and swapping them up to make them a little more interesting. So I'm gonna start by taking all my bottom notes here, and I'm gonna highlight them and then hold shift while I drag them. And then I'm gonna press Control and down on the arrow key twice, and that's gonna drop them 2 octaves, and we're gonna hear what that sounds like. Yeah, so I really like that. That's making it sound really full. So I'm just gonna experiment a little bit more here and see what we can come up with. All right, so I'm liking this. Essentially all I did to this first chord is I highlighted these top 2 notes, and then I shift click and drag them and then drop them an octave. So those are here. And then I dropped the velocities a little bit by highlighting them and then holding Alt and scrolling on my mouse wheel. And then the next chord, what I did is I took the 2 top notes again and dropped those an octave. And then this chord, I took this F note here and I duplicated it and threw it up an octave and lowered the velocities on all those notes as well. But this is the final product for chords. And I think that sounds really good, so we're gonna proceed with the melody. So I really like this for a melody. I'm just gonna raise these velocities back up. But essentially all I did here was just took this note, and it's the root note of this chord. And then I did a little flick here, and you just do that by taking a note and shortening it, and just make sure it's the note below the note you're flicking to in the scale. And then over here, I had a more complex drop down, but it sounded like way too much to me. And I liked the feel of this more with how the chords are progressing. So I just did this little step down, and I think it sounds really good. And then this D sharp is here because it is the top note of this scale. So I know it's gonna sound good because it's harmonizing with that chord. And I just said it's the top note of the scale. That's not what I meant. I meant it's the top note of the chord. And then I literally just took this part and repeated it, except instead of going up to G sharp, I skipped it and I did the flick up to A sharp, and then I went higher up, so it gives it more it's new. It's not the exact same thing, just repeating over. But yeah, so here's what the full melody sounds like. So I think that sounds really good. I'm just gonna duplicate it over so it's 8 bars. And then I'm gonna come in here, and maybe we're gonna take these G sharps here and throw them up an octave because they're consistent throughout the chord progression. So we're gonna hear what that sounds like. And I'm also gonna look to add some kind of like accent notes to the melody, and just places where I think I can add a little bit more without overcomplicating things and still keeping the general feel of the melody. All right, so all I did to the second half of the melody, other than throwing up the G sharps in octave, I added these 3 notes here, and if you can see on the velocities, I'm not sure you'll be able to see it with my overlay. Also working on that, but I made them go down so you can hear it. So they're not super noticeable. And then I added that F8 note, because I think it sounds good right before that chord comes in. And then I highlighted all these end notes, and I just shift click and drag them to duplicate them, and then I held control and press down on the arrow key to throw them down an octave. So now that I have my melody and I'm happy with it, I'm gonna take all my chord notes, and I'm gonna highlight them all and then press Alt S, and that's gonna strummize them to humanize them a bit. And then I'm gonna take all my notes in general and press Alt R, and this is gonna randomize the velocities. And then I'm gonna press Alt X, and that's gonna bring up this level scaling screen. And this just allows you to adjust the volume of them all together. And I do this because sometimes some of these plugins, if you have the velocity up too high, the note will sound really, really harsh. And then I'm just gonna turn down the piano altogether. So now that I got the melody that I like, I'm gonna transpose it and see if I find something I like a little bit more. So we're just gonna start going down 2 semitones. So we are now in the D sharp scale, and I didn't like how that F sharp note sounded, so I'm gonna swap it to or I didn't like how the F note sounded, so I'm gonna swap it to F sharp. But now that we got a piano here, I'm gonna open up another instance of Omnisphere, and I'm just gonna look for something to layer the piano with to make it sound even more full, even though with those real I don't know what the word is, real thick chords, uh it sounds super full. But I'm just gonna look for something more like angelic, if that makes sense, to layer this with. See, this works perfect. It's out of my friend Harvey's bank, and it's the softy keys. And all I did was I just picked a note from the chord, and I think that sounds really, really good. So what I'm doing now is just looking for something else to layer it with. Nothing crazy, because I really like the general feel of the melody, but just more feel stuff that you can put in and out of the melody as the beat's progressing. And it's not super noticeable, but you really feel it. Like, you feel when it's gone, you feel when it's there, if that makes sense. Like a ghost, I guess. You know what? I think I'm actually gonna look through some of the one-shot kits I have and look for like a voice or something. So I got this Wakanda voice effect out of one of the kits I got, the Nico Exotic one-shot kit. And what I did to it is I reversed it by pressing this little button here, and then I shortened up the length because it was taking a long time to get to where the actual voice is. And now I'm just gonna EQ it, make it feel like it's there, but not be like distracting from the main melody. This is a trick I like doing with vocals all the time. So essentially you just take an EQ and EQ out a lot of the highs, a lot of the lows, and then you take a reverb and just do that to however you prefer. And then you take a Fruity Love filter and you take this knob right here and move it to the bottom left. And that's gonna kind of tuck it into the background. And you can really notice that. See, it sounds more like a texture, and it's not distracting at all. And I think that sounds really good. And I think this is a full enough melody to where we can start with drums. And if I feel like I need to add something else, then I can always come back and add something else. So I'm gonna have two different instances of this piano, and one's gonna be without the melody. So it'll be just the chords. And I did that by just throwing it on the playlist here and then just pressing this little piano thing in the top left and pressing make. Now I'm gonna create a new pattern here and we're gonna start laying down drums. Actually, before we get into that, I'm gonna add some effects to my piano here. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add some RC20. I'm just gonna EQ out some of the lows, a little bit of the highs, and turn down this distortion knob a little bit. I think that sounds good. I think that made it a bit too loud. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna open up a Valhalla Vintage Verb and turn down this mix knob here. I hope you guys can see that. Turn it down a little bit more. Yeah, I think that sounds really good. So I'm gonna take this pad or keys here. That sounds a lot like a pad. And I'm gonna throw some wider on it. This is a free plugin I highly recommend. I use it on a ton of my melodies. But yeah, I think that sounds really good. So now that those are mixed out, we can start adding drums. So I'm gonna be working out of the Danny Rome kit because it has a lot of modern sounds. And yeah, so I'm gonna start with this Lakers clap, even though it's Go Blazers forever, but it's a nice clap, so we'll let it slide. Now I'm gonna grab a hi-hat, just do a simple two-step for now, and I'll go tinker with it later on. I'm gonna turn up this out knob a little bit, so they're a little more crisp, a little more snappy. So now I'm gonna grab an 808, and I'm just gonna go with the spins, because on beats like this, the spins gets the job done. And it's just really solid choice. So all I'm doing here is just following my root notes. If you remember from before, my chord progression went D sharp, F sharp, down to B. So if I stay on those notes, then I know my 808's in key and in tune, and it's gonna sound perfect. So I think this sounds good as an 808 pattern. It's nice and simple, and leaves a lot open for an artist to really do what they want with the beat, I think. So now that I got my 808 pattern, I'm gonna go into the hi-hats here and just add a little more bounce. So I think that sounds good. I'm just gonna duplicate this pattern over. And then before I do that, I'm gonna come in here, and this is a trick I've been doing recently. It's just highlighting random notes and just moving them up or down, and just seeing how it sounds, and you get some real interesting things by doing this. So I think that sounds good. So I'm gonna just duplicate that pattern over. And just to make it even more, give it a little more sauce, I'm gonna come highlight every other note, or roughly every other note. And you'll see what we're gonna do. And I'm just gonna drop the velocities a touch. I think that sounds really cool. Gives it a nice little bounce to it as well. So I'm gonna grab an open hat. So I'm gonna do something like that. So I'm gonna do that for a rim pattern. I think it's nice and bouncy. So I'm gonna grab a snare as well. And I'm not really vibing with that open hat, so I'm gonna grab a different, damn it. So I'm gonna grab a different one. Yeah, I think that sounds a lot better. I think that snare at the beginning gives some nice bounce. So I'm gonna grab a kick too. And all I'm gonna do with this, so I'm not gonna do the usual and highlight my 808, copy it over. I'm just gonna go like this. And this will just kind of emphasize these notes. So I think this beat sounds super full, and I think it's done. I'm happy with it, so I'm just gonna mix it out and then lay it out really quick. So I like the mix on this. Now it's time to lay it out. All right, so I've got the beat done. So I'm gonna let you guys hear it right now. But so I got the intro here, and then my tag's gonna come in a second.
Haba, you made this?
And then we're gonna drop into the hook here. Add a nice riser. Then the second 8 of the hook, all the sounds are in here, so it sounds super full. And then here's where it gets a little interesting. I still don't know exactly how I feel about it, but I think it sounds better than just a basic break. But I think that's pretty hard. And I tried out one of my normal where you just kind of gap everything and skip the second clap, and I like that one a lot more. Let me know what you guys think of it down below. Is it too much? Is it too busy for this type of beat? I don't know, but I think it sounds good, so I'm gonna leave it until I get tired of it. But the second 8 of the verse, I added a couple little gaps on the hi-hats here, and then it jumps into the bridge. And for this beat, because it's a slower BPM and just the feel of it, I went with a 4-bar bridge, then it jumps right back into the hook. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and comment. Let me know what you liked about the video. Let me know if you learned anything. Let me know what you want to see from me in the future. And subscribe to join the movement of the great ones who are soon to be great. Trademark, copyright, yeah. But this is your boy Nick, Haba or NiHaba, and I'm out. Peace.